I think that many people have problems to say no, and we have to say no to friends, to loved ones, to people, because it protects us from doing something that we don't want to do. So it's very important part of our communication and relationships, that we can say no if we have not time, or if you can't do something for our friend or for our family member, and it helps us and it protects us from, for example, some mental disorders, and it's very important part for our well-being.
Yes, episode 257 of A to the show. Wow. Us, A2, well, Ali here, traveling around the world, so many different countries. Today we're in Georgia, in Europe, with Isa. How's it going, Isa?
Thank you. Fine. I'm in Georgia, and here now it's 20 evening. 20.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's nighttime. It's like morning for me. All right, sounds good, Isa. How's, well, what do you do? Tell us a bit more about what you do.
I'm psychologist, psychotherapist. I'm working with cognitive behavioral therapy in my country, and also I have online sessions here and in abroad.
Okay.
So I'm trying to help people with this direction of the psychotherapy, and this means that we have some connections between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. I think it's very interesting.
Right. All right. Wow. Cool. Okay. And why did you even get started doing this work?
Because from childhood, I love communication with people, and I love to help people with some other ways. But then I think about it. What about psychotherapist? What about psychologist? I have not known about this direction in childhood, but I like it. And then I decided to study this direction, and I chose the CBT because I searched some of in the internet, and then I decided that it is very helpful, and it is very popular in Europe.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And well, there's something. I guess let's jump right into it. There's something I was thinking about concerning like boundaries. I love your post. First of all, I love reading through your posts, and there's one about boundaries you wrote. And I was thinking that have like boundaries changed throughout these past couple of years with the internet and social media and everything? Are we now closer to each other or farther from each other? What do you think?
I think boundaries is needed every people, because for example on Instagram many people write me messages that they need some help or they need some advices, but I have no time to answer all of them right away, and they write me that please answer now, I'm here, I'm looking that you're here, that you're online. It's very bad because I have my life, I have my job,
Right.
and I have no time to answer all of them, and this is very important to protect our boundaries from the internet also.
Oh wow, that is true, because sometimes your personal life and your professional life get mixed up, and when people start knowing where you are and stuff, that gets tricky. What do you think? So, what do you suggest to those people who are reaching out to you and they're looking for someone to help them, but unfortunately, you can't help everyone. So, what should they do?
The first step is psychoeducation, and I'm just making it free on my page, so they can read my posts. They can read many psychologist posts and find out some problem answers. In psychoeducation is some answer, but some people need therapy, and there is no other choice. That they need therapy, and that they have to go to the psychotherapist or psychologist.
I see. So you think that if a lot of people are stressed and are messaging you or have problems, you think a lot of that can first be fixed with psychoeducation? So like learning about psychology will help them? How do you think so? Right.
Yes, because psychoeducation in the therapy also during the psychotherapy process is very important, and we find some other information for the clients, and we teach them what is, for example, panic attack and what is panic disorder, and this is the first step in the therapy, and then there's some other techniques and strategies. So I think if some people have not money, or if they have not time to go to the psychotherapist or psychologist, they can read more about psychology, more about their condition, for example, panic attacks, panic disorder, or depression, and other.
Wow, I guess so, right? Because if you know more about it, you feel more in control a little bit, because you know what symptoms you can expect. But also at the same time, I know what you think about this, but sometimes people self-diagnose and say, hey, I actually have depression, when they don't really have depression, and then they start thinking they have these symptoms, right? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Have you seen anything like that, where people think they have something more extreme, where in reality they can have
it's very important, and all of them are Googling and some symptoms, and they
right? Yeah.
think that Google is right. Not Google is not right, because there are many some information that you should ignore, because it is not right. So the first step here is to go to the psychiatrist who can make you the right diagnosis, if you have some of them, because it's very stressful that some people say that I am bipolar. You are not bipolar because you have mood changes. It's
right.
Not right. So please, if you have some problems, you can go to the right professionals.
Right, that's true. Right. Sounds good. So when is that point where people should go see a therapist, right? You said some people can help themselves, psychoeducation, and then when should people reach out to you and other therapists?
Okay, the firstly they can try to observe their feelings, their thoughts, and try to help themselves. But if they can't handle their problems independently, and if their problem interrupts their life, everyday life, for example, in job, in personal life, for example, at school, then they should go to the psychotherapist or psychiatrist.
Right. All right. Wow, that's really good. And okay, so we talked about boundaries a little bit earlier. I want to dive a little deeper more into boundaries. Everyone needs boundaries, right? How would you describe boundaries between, like, friendship, for example? How's that different than boundaries between regular people?
Boundaries between friendship, or
right. So, like, let's say, I don't know, are the boundaries different between, like, let's say you and a loved one, right, versus you and some random person? Is it different, or does everyone have, like, the same boundaries?
Yes, I think that many people have problems to say no, and we have to say no to friends, to loved ones, to people, because it protects us from doing something that we don't want to do. So it's very important part of our communication and relationships, that we can say no if we have not time, or if you can't do something for our friend or for our family member, and it helps us, and it protects us from, for example, some mental disorders, and it's very important part for our well-being.
Right. No, that's good you say that, because sometimes it's hard for even me to say no to someone like my friend or someone I'm close to, just because I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want them to be sad or angry, right? Because I love that person. I want them to feel like I don't know, good. So when
some people feel obliged for someone to do something for them, but we are not obliged to do something and to explain our behavior. We are not obliged to our friends or some other people.
I see. Well, I'm really glad you said that. That's really good. And what about, like, between you and your family, for example, right? You have, like, boundaries between you and your family. Is that the same for everyone, or is it different? Depends on each family. What do you think?
Some advices are the same, but we can use them individually because we have our different family members, and everyone have different mood. So we have to think about it, how we treat to our, for example, mom, father, husband, or wife, or some another.
Right.
So we have to use the way, some communication way, and to treat them very carefully, because it's very important not to be obliged to explain our behaviors, but not to, for example, say that I'm with you, I can do everything, and then we will be very tired for at the end of the day when we done everything, but
Right.
we have no time to ourselves.
Right. No, that's good not to have to feel obligated to a family, because sometimes I do notice some people are trapped with their families, and then they argue a lot with their families, and it gets into a bad habit cycle, right? How does one get away from that then? Let's say you are in this habit of just being mean to each other. How do you change that?
We can listen to each other, and we can say to each other, for example, when I see that I have anger and I'm very angry, I can say that now I can control my emotions, and we can talk about that after some hours. For example, it's not easy, but we can say that if we know that our anger is very high, I can say that you can assess your every emotion. It will be anger, mood, or anxiety. And what about anger? You can assess your anger in a 10-point scale, when 10 point means that you are very angry,
Right.
1 point means that you are not angry, and 5 is middle. So when you see that your anger is 5 and it is increasing, you can stop communication, and you can go away or do some another, and for example, do breathing exercises and decrease your anger.
All right. So basically, you're trying to say never or don't have interactions with people when you're emotionally
Yes.
up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that a bad idea?
When you are talking to people when you are angry, you may say some things, some phrases that then that will be very harmful
Right.
for them, and it's not right, I think.
Right. Wow, that's great, because you did say just it's good to communicate and talk to people, but at the same time you have to know for yourself when is the right time, I guess, to talk to someone and let them know how you feel. Wow.
Because there will be less disappointment when you don't say some harmful things.
All right. Sounds good. And something else I want to talk about to you is change. So have you seen people, I mean, you're a therapist, right? So I'm sure you've seen people change their behavior. So for someone right now who feels like they're stuck in a rut, or they're not doing too great and they want to make a change, can they make a change? Can everyone change for the better?
Yes, I think that everyone can change if they want, and if they are doing some things, some steps for changing. But remember that we can change only ourselves. We can't change other people. It's not our job. So we can work on ourselves, and we can change ourselves, our behaviors, our emotions, and it's very long way, and it's not easy, but if we try, if we work on ourselves, we can do it. We can change ourselves.
I see.
Only
Right.
ourselves.
Right. Only ourselves. Right. You can't change other people. Sometimes you want to, but you really can't. Sometimes I have like mean roommates or something. I'm like, I really wish what do you do in a situation like that where you do feel good yourself, but when you're in an environment where you have to be in, let's say like your family or like your apartment, and you have roommates maybe that are making you more stressed maybe. In one sense, like they're your friends, you want them not to stress you out, but these people are negative and they're stressing you out. um what do you do? Do you try to like cut the relationship between you, or you want to help them out? What do you do?
I'm trying to explain my position. I'm trying to say that I'm disturbing from their behavior. So
Right.
if we want to communicate, they can use some techniques and they can make some changes. But if not, we cut off our relationship.
Oh wow. Yeah, huh? That's one of the things sometimes I realize that I see, like I do have friends or people that drift away from me, and as we grow up and stuff, and things change, and sometimes people are just a drain on you for just a little bit. So it's hard a lot of the time, right? Because they're your friends and you want to be with them and you've been with them for so long. But sometimes you just, what do you think, you need to like take a break from them, or do you think you should just discontinue? How would you deal with something like that?
Sometimes we can adapt some situations, some people. We can say that they can't change themselves, and let's communicate with them, because I love, for example, I like this communication, and they have as positive as negative characteristics. So we can adapt some things, some behaviors.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. And onto something else, I wanted to ask you about, are there activities that are like good for your mental health? Like essentially, what do you think? So I was having this conversation with my friend. We were sitting down in his apartment. We were sitting down just watching some TV, and I was like, how about we just go out and hang out at the beach? And he was like, dude, it's all the same. Like he's hanging out here or hanging out at the beach. I was like, I feel freer at the beach. Are there activities that necessarily make you happy, or can you just be happy doing anything you like to do?
What if there are some if there were some activities that you loved in your past, and now you don't like that, you can just remind yourself that, for example, in past you liked cooking, or you liked walking, or some other activities, and you can try to do now there, because during depression some people have not pleasure even any activities, so they can't just try to do some activities what is pleasant for them.
Right. Oh, I see. You try to do something that you think, but that's kind of tricky, right? Because sometimes people who have depression, they don't find anything to be pleasing at all, right? From food to sleep, just anything that they usually enjoy a lot, they don't enjoy. So how do you even find what is joyous in those moments? Like, how do you get out of that rut?
We just remind them, we just asking them that what was in your past, what was you doing in your past, and what was pleasant for you, and then they remember some things, and then they doing, but very easy steps, because they have no energy to do. Firstly, from psychiatrists, they have some medications that increase their mood, and then we help them to do some very easy activities.
I see. All right, so you say that you can boost the mood from like a negative baseline. How do you do that, or how can I do that to myself?
You can boost your mood even just doing very easy activities. For example, even just drinking cola if you like cola, and even just observe and be mindfully during these activities and during the situation. If you observe every step of your activities and of your behavior, then your mood will boost very little. Not, for example, if your mood is 2, it will not be 10, but
a little bit.
Yes, a little bit. Yes. So you should try every day, and then your mood will be increased in some, for example, in some weeks during psychotherapy, maybe, if you have.
Right. Okay, sounds good. And what about stress? So we talked about sadness a bit, but with stress, some people are just very stressed out. There's a lot on their mind, and it's hard to shut that off, right? Because it's just in your head. You can't control what's in your head, can you?
Maybe stress is in our environment, in every day. So we can adapt the stress, and we can observe our thoughts, our behaviors, and our emotions, what we are thinking during some stressful situations, and what reaction we have during that situation. And then we can just make some changes in our behaviors, because the environment have high
Influence.
impact on
Right.
our yes, on our mind. So we can just change that to observe our feelings. So this very important part is the feelings and thoughts. So we must observe our feelings and our thoughts, and then change them in a rational way. It's very important, because
Wow.
all of us have some negative thoughts that are very irrationally.
Right. Right. Negative thoughts that are very irrational. What about negative thoughts that are a little more rational? For example, like people growing, or people feeling that time is flying by them, right? Someone is 30 or younger or older, and they're having like a crisis about, what am I doing with my life? I've spent all these years doing this one thing. I don't really like it. I want to do something else. What what do you advise someone like
What
that?
what is here rationally in these
Right.
thoughts?
What is he thinking? Let's say someone who wanted to be whatever, a wrestler, and then he ended up being a businessman for 10, 15 years, and now he's in the tricky spot where he wants to go out and be a wrestler, but he's doing this job. I guess he has this fantasy of going, but should he just make his own conditions better, or should he go and fulfill his fantasy?
Dreaming is very important part
Right.
of our life, but we can just think about it if we can make our dreams come true. If we can't, it's very harmful for
Right.
our mind
It's hard.
to
Yes.
think every day about our dreams. It's not good, because then we have some disappointment, and our mood will decrease.
Wow. Right. So that's that's it. I'm just wondering, right? Because everyone has. You think a lot of people have dreams that are let down. You think most people, like a lot of people, do, or you say dreams are important. Why is dreaming important?
Dreaming is important to improve our mind, to improve our thinking process and creation, but it has its boundaries. So we have to dream in some boundaries, and we have to dream what we can do, what is our hands. So if I can be a good psychotherapist, I can dream about it, because I will work on myself some years, and then I will be. But
Right.
if I can't, for example, if I can't buy in 1 year Ferrari, I can't dream about it, because I will be disappointed in 1 year.
Right. Right. You don't think that dreaming though can be sometimes motivation for people to do some things that are, more extreme, right?
Yes, it's motivation sometimes, of course.
I see. No, I'm sure. Right? So, what is like the healthy balance then for dreaming, right? So, it can be motivation, but then it can also ruin you. What is the balance? What is a healthy dream? Mm-hmm.
What I said, healthy dream is that you know that you have a little chance to do that. For example, you can think about it, and you can say that, for example, in 1 year you have something, in 5 years. But if you are just dreaming that is not easy to do, is not in your hands, and you can't do that, dreaming is not good, and dreaming is not motivation. I think so.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And there you go. What about, all right, so you do have a goal you want, but you're not heading to that goal, right? Your behaviors haven't changed. You just have a goal, but if, but without any action. So how do you become better at controlling your own behaviors? Let's say you want to wake up early one day, right? You want to start waking up earlier for this work, but every time you can't wake up, or every time you hit the snooze button. So how do
Snooze
you?
is not good, I think, because
Oh wow.
when we postpone some activities, some behaviors, so we can't do that never. So if we can do something, we can do it today. We do not postpone them because time is flying, and one day we will be, for example, 60 years, and we did not done nothing. So one another my dream is to write a very interesting book in my profession, but now I have no time for it because I have many clients, I have many other projects and some training courses, and I can't. I have even time. I have not even time. So one day, for example, in several years, I will go somewhere. For example, in the village, in some months, and then I will write. I know that I will write it. It is a dream, but I know that I can fulfill this dream. But now I have no time, and I'm saying to myself that I'm have no time now for it. But I think that I will do that in one day in my life.
No, that's really cool. You say that, and then I'm wondering why you say you go to the village to write a book. Is it harder than writing a book in where you are, in city?
I think that
Right.
in city there is not a peaceful life. So I think that I need some peace, and need some forest,
Wow.
some calmness to write a book.
Right. So don't you want to be more peaceful though? So why are you, or why do people stay in cities if they're not peaceful? What is it, a
Um,
sacrifice, right? You sacrifice your peace for whatever, meeting people or having clients or work and stuff, but
We can be peaceful here also, but not
right.
whole day. We can be peaceful in, for example, 1 hour at home. But every day from morning till evening, we are working, we are doing some things. We have family members, and they need sometimes, our friends need sometimes. So here is not peaceful, I think. But
Wow.
we can have some peaceful, and we can rest here also. A little time, not whole day. And when we are alone or with, for example, one person who have the same dreams, who have the, for example, same approaches, we can do some activities together
Oh
in
wow.
the village, maybe.
That yes, in the village that are peaceful. Wow, that's really cool. You say that because um, it is true. I do feel peaceful when I'm not in the city versus when I'm in the city. And then sometimes I just think I should just go out to the village for a bit and just whatever, ride or do something or just have a fun time, a peaceful time. Well,
Um,
thanks, Isa, for coming on our show. I feel like I asked you everything I wanted to ask you. It was really great having you on the show. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is
Thank you
there
very much. It was very interesting.
Yes. Is there anything you'd like to let the world know before we wrap up here?
Oh,
Is there anything you want to say?
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting.
Yes. Yeah, keep learning about your own psychology, right? For those listening, because psychoeducation is huge. If you can control, a bit of your psychology.
Observe your feelings, observe yourself, and observe your emotions. It's very important.
All right. Sorry, I do have to ask you one more thing based on that. So you say observe. Do you mean observe, and how does one observe you said your emotion, your behavior, and your what?
Observe your emotions, your behaviors, and your thoughts.
And your thoughts. And how do you
Thoughts,
observe?
yes.
How do you observe those?
What does it mean? Observe that we are observing, for example, what now I'm feeling. Yes.
Right.
What symptoms are in my body, and what I'm feeling. For example, maybe now I'm a little anxious, I'm a little not I'm not a little decreasing mood. Now my mood is increasing because
Yes.
meditation, but it is a little anxious because
Right.
it is not my native language,
Right.
and it's not so easy.
Yes,
So
it's great. You're doing great,
this
though.
is thank you.
Yes.
This is the observation that I
Mhm.
can find out what emotions I have, what thoughts I have in my mind, and what behaviors I'm doing, how I behave. It's very important.
Right. All right. Well, there you go.
You can have a look my page and see the link during behavior, thoughts and emotions. I have some posts.
Perfect. All right. We'll link that in the bio. Thanks, Isa.
Yes.
Everyone, have a good night. Good night. All right.
Good night.
And
Thank
bye.
you.
Woo.
Have a good day.